Where does your passion come from for doing this? What was your vision when you opened the doors?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, I guess from a whole lot of places. One thing I'm thinking is back in high school, even I was, working for a builder and working for a framing contractor and just doing summer jobs back in Bakersfield where you're framing in 115-degree heat, you know. and and so I enjoyed it then. I love always designing and building things around the house and everything. And then went off to college, worked for a gentleman that exposed me to all phases, heating and plumbing and electrical, siding, framing, you name it. And that cultured that or enriched that even more. And then it's funny because as you go through different phases, I remember I used to look at production homes in tract neighborhoods where it's like postage stamp lots and houses 5 feet away from property line. And to be very candid, I looked at those with kind of a mild disdain, like, who would live in that and who can build those and everything. And then I got married and I had kids. And I was working for what a 23-year-old guy would be working for, and my budget was what a 23-year-old family man would be able to afford for a house. And then those neighborhoods just took on a whole different feel for me, which is you walk down the street and you see, moms and dads with kids on hot cycles and people talking over the fence and everything. And all of a sudden in an instant, in a way, or in a season of my life, it all changed. And I'm like, no, this is good stuff. There's a place for these homes. And I shouldn't look at them and turn my nose up and be some kind of a purist, because this is good. This is family. This is community. So that being said, then I kind of pair that with, okay, even so, we can still build nicer homes. We can still use better materials than some of what you see. So it's just wanting to come at it and take an institution within our culture, homes and community, and say, okay, well, now where do I want to plug in? Because as a young man starting a company, that's a kind of a neat decision, a neat point where you can say, do I want to go into this realm? Maybe I would go work for like a G.E. Johnson or, one of the big commercial general contractors and sweep pushing a broom and work my way up to project manager or whatever. And that'd be a cool path, or I could go into production homes or remodels or that. So I chose single family, residential, custom homes. And then you start bringing in other aspects to it. Like, boy, I sure love heavy timber. Okay, we developed a whole division of our company, Colorado Timber Homes, which, operates within the Stauffer and Sons Construction family, so to speak, where, we've really gotten a foothold in a lot of our, the mountain communities, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours away from Colorado Springs, where people say, hey, I want the mountain home we've been dreaming about for the last 30 years. Heavy timber and, rustic and those types of things. Or then, right now, Colorado Springs, wow, downtown, the whole community, but downtown is just this, this ripple effect going out, and you see older parts of downtown, just some neat gentrification going on and infill lots and increased density and walking paths, bike paths. And so, we're buying a piece of downtown property rather than renting. I want to, be a part of it. So you start with that core, what do I want to do? But then you start to bring in things as you're exposed to them. Like fire rebuilds. There's a whole other thing. We had the Waldo Canyon fire. We had the Black Forest fire. Boom, boom. 1-2 punch. And through that all, we rebuilt 21 homes between the two fires. And you talk about something that was nowhere on my radar screen the day before it happened. And the neat thing that I found is I can leverage my capabilities within the building industry, and I can bring along other folks that can multiply my efforts. So, for example, I think it was probably 6-7 years ago, I just felt the need, like, hey, it would be neat to find a returning veteran from Iraq or Afghanistan or anyone like that fitting that description, where I can take my baseball team that I was coaching, a bunch of 12-year-olds, and we can say, hey, we want to figure out who you are, what your needs are, and how we can help, and we're going to come and spend a day cleaning your yard or whatever. And I had that idea that started like just as a cool way that I could get my boys involved on the team that can help out what was just a great family that we came to know and are friends with today. And when I started telling my landscaper, my plumber, my painter, all these people, hey, we're doing this, it just multiplied. So what was going to be like probably a $3,000 effort of goods and materials turned into a $40,000 effort like that. Because when I brought it to people, like my landscaper, Roger Haywood over at Accent Landscape, he heard it. He's all like, I'm in. Yeah, what do you need? Tell me what you need, and I'm in. And then he goes to CNC Sand and Gravel, Bill Johansson, who owns this place. It's, been a part of this community forever, and everybody knows him. And he's like, Roger, I'm in, And so that's a neat thing, is because I think a lot of people want to plug in that way. And we as Bill, as a general contractor, our whole business is taking the collaborative efforts of all of these professionals and tradespeople and vendors, and then putting out a good finished product that fills a need. So that's how we plug in. It's not so much, hey, we made $1,000 donation to this, though we do that sometimes. It's more, hey, how do we use our skills, our efforts, our talents? Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's
That's
fun.
wonderful.
Listeners, thank you for tuning in to Central Colorado Springs Advice Givers Podcast. Go to iTunes, leave us a review, and leave us some feedback. This is a conversation. We do want to hear from you. Please tell us what you think. Subscribe on iTunes. That'll help us reach more people so that all together we can keep making Colorado Springs better.